So we'll go ahead and get started. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Shahid Rahman. I am the Executive Director of Move Business Chamber. We're a Nova-based business chamber that's focused on informed, connecting, and advocating for our members. We have almost 200 members. Most of them are in the Northern Virginia area, covering Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun County. We recently just launched an IT committee focused on helping small businesses in the IT sector connect with one another and grow. I'm very excited to actually be joined today by Randy Brown. Actually, for those of you that have been engaged with Move for at least a year, you know that we've been working on engaging more of our small businesses to do contracting work with the local and state government. And the organization that he's part of, SBSD, they are responsible for those certifications, the SWaM certifications, small women and minority-owned certifications. Those of you also that attended Advocacy Day with us on January 22nd this year, the governor and the associate commerce secretary mentioned that the Small Business Finance Authority is giving fee-based loans to small businesses as opposed to interest-based. So in order to qualify for those fee-based loans, you have to be SWaM certified. So this is a second reason to get SWaM certified. I'm gonna make an introduction of Randy right now. We'll handle some Q&A, and afterward, I'll share with you some of the upcoming programs that we have. But by background, Randy Brown has earned his MS and BS in economics from the State of University in New York. He has worked at some preeminent marketing companies in the world, including GM, General Foods, and Colgate-Palmolive. He has served as a certification officer for SWaM and the Federal Disadvantaged Business Enterprise DBE programs with the Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity. Randy currently serves as the Business Service Manager, providing business development and outreach to businesses located in Central Virginia for the department. Randy is very committed to working with small business owners because it helps create generational wealth and positively impacts the mindset of our youth. Randy and his wife, Shari, are the proud parents of two grown sons. Randy, I'll hand it over to you, and
Great,
you
thanks.
can go ahead and share your screen.
Thanks, Shahid. Okay, let me do that. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Great, okay. So, for those of you that don't know, the SWaM program, is a set-aside program for small businesses. And the acronym SWaM, S-W-A-M, as Shahid mentioned, stands for Small Businesses, Women-Owned Businesses, and Minority-Owned Businesses. And the purpose of the program is really to attempt to level the playing field so that small businesses in Virginia and outside of Virginia have an opportunity to participate in the procurement process. You know, in order to qualify as a small business, and this is Virginia's definition, the company has to be owned and controlled by individuals, and the top line revenue over the last 3 years has to be on average less than $10 million on average, or have fewer than 250 employees. So what that means is you really have to satisfy one of those two constraints. You either, you can be a $5 billion company, but with 200 employees, you can qualify, or you do qualify as a small business. In order to be a women-owned business, you have to have majority ownership rest with women, and control. So it's ownership and control. Both those criteria have to be met. And similarly, with minority-owned businesses, majority ownership has to rest with ethnic minorities and control of the company. So just having one of those two constraints satisfied really won't cut it. You have to meet both qualifications there. A number of years ago, given that broad and fairly liberal definition of a small business, well, a number of years ago, this micro designation was introduced. And the micro designation is for companies that do less than $3 million in top line revenue and have fewer than 25 employees. So in this case, you have to satisfy both constraints, both in terms of dollars and in terms of number of employees. But the advantages to being a micro business are that there are procurement set asides for micro designated firms who SWaM certified and satisfy that micro criteria. And really, in most cases, most companies satisfy the criteria, but in fact, they don't know it. So they don't check the box when they're filling out the application. And then there's a service disabled veteran. So if you are a service disabled veteran, as recognized by the Commonwealth of Virginia, um, there are set asides for service disabled veterans that are SWaM certified. So that service disabled veteran has to be both a majority owner as well as an individual in control of the company. But there are procurement set asides for service disabled veterans, and this is actually codified so that um, every agency within the executive branch really has to make earnest attempts to spend 3% of their discretionary spending with service disabled veterans. One of the issues or one of the pushbacks is that they can't find service disabled veterans that are SWaM certified. So if you are a service disabled veteran, first I want to thank you for your service, but also want to make sure that you check that box because state agencies are trying to do business with you. So, one of the other certifications that my agency handles is the DBE certification. Now, this is a federal program owned by the U.S. Department of Transportation. But we do handle certification of for that as well for services. Oh, excuse me, for disadvantaged business enterprises. Well, one thing, let me mention this. With the SWaM program is both race and gender neutral. So it doesn't matter if the business is owned by an ethnic minority or a woman. A SWaM is a SWaM is a SWaM. The DBE program is more race and gender specific. So in other words, it targets ethnic minorities as well as women-owned businesses, owned and managed businesses. Now, white males can participate in the DBE program as a DBE, but there are different criteria, and that they have to prove that they have been disadvantaged in this country. Now I want to get on to, excuse me one second. Back to this for a second. Okay, now I want to talk about why do you want to become certified? Because there's a lot of talk about getting the certification, but oftentimes people don't know why. Your cousin's brother might have suggested it to you, or a neighbor might have suggested it to you. But other than that, you want to make sure that you really understand the benefits of certification. So first, the state has an aspirational goal of spending 42% of discretionary spending with SWaM certified firms. So that's 42 cents out of every dollar. As a whole, the state is trying to spend with SWaM certified firms. Some state agencies, such as some of the colleges and universities and other state agencies, they'll set their goals even higher. Just to give you an example, so VCU, by the way, all public colleges and universities are considered state agencies, but VCU actually has a goal of 50% that they try to spend with SWaM certified firms. So that's going to vary, but as a whole, the state looks to spend 42% with SWaM certified firms. Executive Order 35 was put in place actually under Governor Northam a number of years ago. And this has not been changed, so this is still in effect. But state agencies were more strongly encouraged, or buyers were more strongly encouraged to utilize SWaM certified firms where it made sense. So by that, what I mean is, you still have to be price competitive. So where it makes sense to spend with a SWaM certified firm, state agencies was heavily encouraged to do so. And um, we realized that in the field, myself and the other business managers, because we work with state buyers, and we saw an uptick in requests to help them find SWaM certified firms. So if your firm is SWaM certified and a competitor doing the exact same things that or providing the exact same service or products that you provide for the same price, um, that state buyer should be looking to spend with you as opposed to a non-SWaM competitor. So last fiscal year, and by the way, our fiscal year runs from July 1 through June 30th. But last fiscal year, we spent almost $10 billion on goods and services. Now, for every $100 spent, 32 went to a SWaM. So remember that aspirational goal, and I underscore aspirational because it's not a hard goal, but that aspirational goal is 42%. We came in as a whole at around 32% during our last fiscal year. So there's an incentive for SWaM certified firms to make themselves aware to the buyers so that the buyers can know who you are and purchase from you. So there's a real opportunity there. Checks less than $10,000, buyers don't have to put that out to bid. And what do I mean by that? So if a buyer has a solicitation that's going to be less than or requires a service or a product that's going to cost less than $10,000, the buyers do not have to put that out to competitive bid. They can simply call one SWaM certified firm and give him or her the business. So in that case, it's really about developing relationships with these buyers so they know who you are when they don't have a need. So when the instance arises when they do have a need, you want to be top of mind. But again, that's $10,000, and all the buyer has to do is just pick up the phone and call you. Also, for those solicitations less than $10,000, those are earmarked for micro certified firms. So if your firm is micro certified, you're going to receive notices for those solicitations that are put out to competition. If they're less than $10,000, you get first notice. And even though it's less than $10,000, you still want to come at it with your best price, or you still want to approach that solicitation with your best price. I'll give you an example. If a buyer wants to purchase 10 shares, and you're micro certified, and you think, well, okay, you can charge $9,999 for these 10 shares, versus a non-SWaM firm saying, I can give you the exact same shares, the exact same 10 shares for $100, but they're non-SWaM certified. You, on the other hand, are SWaM certified and you want to charge $9,999. Well, the buyer has a fiduciary responsibility to safeguard my tax dollars. So that buyer is going to make sure that they're going to purchase based on the best price. Now, if it's for $10,000, those solicitations will be called or referred to as quick quotes. And with quick quotes, low price wins. So you want to make sure that, again, you're coming at this with your best price and not simply trying to come at it thinking, well, the limit is 10,000, so I'm going to bid 10,000. Also, if you're bidding $9,999, you don't know what the other micro certified firms are bidding. So you want to make sure that you're always coming at it or always approaching solicitations with your best price. There are also subcontracting opportunities with large contractors or with large contracts. So give you an example. If an RFP is put out, and let's say in the construction industry, and pick on a construction firm, WM Jordan, which is not SWaM certified, and they're not eligible for certification given their size. But if WM Jordan is competing for a large construction contract or project, they're going to make sure that they have SWaM certified subcontractors to help beef up their rating or their score. And what I mean by that is when you respond to an RFP, a formal solicitation, your response is actually scored. And one of the criterion that's looked at is your SWaM participation. And that could be upwards of 25% in some cases. So that large non-SWaM firm wants to make sure that they have SWaM certified firms um, as subcontractors to help improve their score and their chances of winning the solicitation. Private corporations, such as those I have listed here, also utilize the SWaM database. Dominion has been using it for years. I had conversations with Capital One um back in November. Excuse me, no, we started in November, but by December they were using our SWaM database. So Capital One is also using our database, as well as KPMG, which uses our database for their needs. So without even coming to us, they'll just go into the database if they're looking for small businesses. That they know are certified because they know that our agency has done its due diligence to make sure that those firms qualify as a small business. Also, those firms might be looking at minority and or women-owned businesses. Again, they know that SBSD, my agency, has done its proper due diligence to make sure that firms with those designations have earned them or are actually eligible for them. Also, local governments you um, will also utilize the SWaM database. So in the Richmond area, Henrico County actually spends more than 50% of its discretionary spending with SWAMs or with SWAM certified firms. So again, remember that aspirational goal of 42%. And as a state or at the Commonwealth, we're coming in at around 32%. Well, Henrico County actually spends more than 50% of its discretionary spending with SWAM certified firms. So you can take a look at the surrounding area that you can service and make sure that they know that you're SWAM certified. And last but not least, why would you not become certified? It's a free service. All it does is it just strengthens your arsenal when you're looking to do business, whether it's with government entities or private sector firms that are looking to do business with small women and or minority owned businesses. And certainly, as I mentioned, with the state, obviously it makes sense with the state, but also with local municipalities, whether they're at the county or city level, they may have SWAM or small business initiatives as well. This page actually displays various links, first to our agency, SBSD, but also to the SWAM application portal. And then more specifically, the third link is to business development and outreach services, our events page. We actually use Eventbrite, but all of our events are posted on our website, and these links will take you there as well. This is my contact information, and it was mentioned, Shahid mentioned that I service Central Virginia. So that includes the Richmond metro area. I cover Petersburg, and I go as far south as Lynchburg, but I cover and I go as far west as Williamsburg. So with that, um, are there any questions?
So first of all, Randy, really thank you so much for taking time from your schedule. Do you want to click to exit your slideshow?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Let me. Okay, while you're doing that, again, thank you so much for joining us. I'll just get started very quickly with, you mentioned one thing before handing it over to others, the necessity and need for making relationship with some of the procurement officers. do you have a recommendation as to where we should start building those relationships? Who we should start building those relationships with and where we can find those people?
Shahid, I lost your volume. I didn't hear your question.
Sure. Randy, you mentioned that building relationships, especially for those contracts under $10,000 are important. Do you have any recommendations from where folks should start building those relationships with which individuals or which institutions in order to have access to some of those lower bid contract opportunities?
That's a great question. So within EVA, and that's eva.virginia.gov, and that's a procurement portal that state agencies use when they're making when they're making purchases. And there's a particular report called Who's Buying What I Sell. That's report 702. And you can run that report, and that will identify those state agencies down to the buyer's contact information, both their email as well as their phone numbers, so that you can um you can run that report based on NIGP codes or based on keywords, and that will give you a list of different state agencies within the executive branch that are purchasing your services, and you can reach out to those buyers and introduce yourself and your company to them.
Appreciate that. So I will hand it over to some of the questions in the chat. But just one more thing I want to mention. Randy touched on EVA. So we're having a EVA procurement system lab at the end of the month. I just dropped it in the chat. This is an event free for members. Please feel free to join us. It's super limited to just 16 people. You have to bring your laptop and bring your company's EIN. And Chris Slay here in Fairfax will help walk people through the process of working within the EVA system. And with that, let me hand it over to Bilal. He had a quick question. With the new administration crackdown on DEI, do you see major changes happening in the SWaM area?
The short answer is no. We're a state agency, and so what's happening in the federal government really doesn't impact us at all. But also, the SWaM program is both race and gender neutral. So a SWaM is a SWaM is a SWaM. So the agencies, the procurement process really doesn't give preferential treatment to women-owned businesses or minorities.
Understood. So it's basically race neutral.
Yes, it is. It's race neutral, race and gender neutral.
Gender neutral. Okay, great. We have a question from Wakar. Is there a marketplace or platform where these state and local solicitations are posted for bidding? I think you covered it, but let's mention it one more time.
Right. So within EVA, and you should get registered in EVA. Shahid mentioned, so there's a workshop that will be covering that. But you can register in EVA, and then you'll be notified based on your profile. You're going to indicate you indicate specifically which NIGP codes you provide. And the NIGP codes, that's just a classification system that state governments use when they're making purchases. It's just a classification system to identify the products or services that you offer. But then within EVA, once you're registered, if a buyer has a solicitation that they want to put out, you'll be notified. So you don't have to search. You'll be notified automatically of that solicitation.
And through EVA, can folks check out historic bids to see if they have a service that has been contracted out in the past?
That's an EVA as well. So you can look at historical data. I believe it goes back 7 years, but you can look at historical data. But and also that report 702 will also give you, and that's again, Who's Buying What I Sell. That will give you pricing information for for different products and services that the state has purchased. So let's say, as an example, my agency, Small Business and Supplier Diversity, if we purchased software services to, well, let's say we purchase catering for a luncheon. That will be listed in Eva, but it would also identify the price that we paid for that luncheon.
Oh,
And within Eva, you can break out the time frame you want to look at, either based on the calendar year, our fiscal year, which again runs from July 1 through June 30th, or you can specify your own time frame.
okay. Wow, that's great. So we have another quick question. Uh, Randy, would you be able to drop the link for Eva here at some point today?
Yes, I can. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. And while we're taking care of that, Farhad asked the questions, will you be sharing the slides?
Will I be sharing the slides? Will I be sharing the slides?
Yes.
Um, Actually, I can. I can send them. I'll send them to you.
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you. And also, this is recorded, folks, so we'll put it on YouTube in the coming probably by next Monday or Tuesday. So you should be able to watch this again. Are there any other questions? Let's see. Thank you. Is there a list available for classification codes? I believe you said IGP.
Right, NIGP codes. Can I go to the EVA homepage for a second?
Sure, sure. Let me pull that up for you.
Oh, great.
Excuse me. Is this good?
Yes. So if you scroll to the bottom, as a matter of fact, let's do a few things. Yeah, scroll down to the bottom, and then under tools, see that where it says NIGP code lookup? And then in the white space where it says search description, you can just type in um uh, one word description of your product or service and then hit search. Okay, now so two different things came up, which is great. That first one, well, let me say this. If you're providing a service, the code is going to start with the number 9. If you're providing a tangible product, it'll start with any other number. And the parent code is going to end in a 00. So click on that first one. That was it 8100, 81,000. So by clicking on that, then you get the subcategory that comes under it. Okay, and you can choose to use that subcat, but this is a physical product that you're selling. Click on the 90,000. What's that, 600? And this is if you're providing landscape services. Okay. Erase landscape for a second and just type consultant or consulting. Okay, that 91,800. Oh, you know what? Erase that. Click on the back arrow. I want to clear. Okay, now type in consulting. Okay, that 91,800. So you have parent codes. Oh, it's still giving us that. Okay, erase that for a second. I'm sorry. This is kind of
It
important.
looks like the state doesn't need too many consultants.
No, no. Okay, so erase that and click on the back arrow. Okay, so go to NIGP code lookup. Now scroll down to 91,800. Consulting is a good example. Yeah. And now click on that. Now, here's the difference between a parent code and a subcategory. And this is what you want to watch out for. If you just say that you're a consultant and you put that in your profile within EVA, you'd be notified of solicitations covering all of these different topics, all of these different services. Okay, so consulting is really a catch-all. So there'll be some parent codes ending in a 00 that have more, that have fewer, some might even have more subcategories. So you can either be surgical and go in and identify the specific subcategories that you want to that you provide, or you can be more general and just use that parent code. But if you use that parent code for consulting 91-800, you'll be notified of all of these solicitations. So the NIGP codes that you use are, it's really important that you get the right codes, basically.
Awesome, thank you. We have another question. Does EVA offer only government purchasing agreements and IT contracts, or offering construction and general contracting opportunities also?
EVA offers everything we buy, so it's everything. Um, and it's interesting because I have an IT conference planned for March 11th, which I might end up rescheduling, but I'll notify you, Shahid, when I'm ready to do that. Where I'm going to have Vita as well as some other organizations involved there as well. But right, so we do IT, but everything else in between.
Understood. So any sort of solicitation period that the state is looking for is gonna go through EVA. It doesn't matter
That-
what it is.
That's right.
From
Right.
food to construction to
Right.
IT.
Right. And
The
and
roofing
even if it's
consultants.
and even if it's less than $10,000 where the buyer didn't put it out to bid, but the buyer, because if it's less than 10,000, you don't have the buyer does not have to put that out to bid. He or she can just contact one firm. So even in those cases, it won't be put out to bid, but after the fact, it will be listed.
Ah, okay. Is there a mechanism in EVA to search for those contracts under 10,000? That were, no bid essentially?
No, but once it's put out, once it's resolved, it will show up in EVA.
Got it.
And then that report 702 that I referenced, and all of the reports, you can actually export them into an Excel spreadsheet, and then you can manipulate the data.
Thank you.
Do you want to I know you said Chris is doing an EVA lab.
She is doing an EVA lab at the end of the month.
Okay.
And I know you and I, we're doing something in Richmond, a SWaM lab. So if you guys can't make it out to the EVA lab, it is different. I encourage you guys to participate in the lab that Randy is hosting, I think on the 20th of this month, definitely on the 20th of this month in Richmond.
Right. And with the SWaM lab, I typically I'll go into that report 702. So one of the reasons we ask people to bring their laptops is so that they can you'll be able to generate your own target list with the state, and that'll be on your laptop. So we cover that as well.
Exactly. All right, folks. Does anyone have any other questions for Randy? If not, I want to be respectful of his time, and I want to give everybody their extra 25 minutes back.